All right, good morning, two-stroke turbo fans. It's another day. It's a summer day. It's the first day of summer here in Portland, Oregon. We're so happy. Stella's laying in the shade already. It's supposed to be 90 degrees today. In Portland, Oregon, that's pretty hot. Most of us don't have air conditioning, and some of us wear a fur coat. Stella's our shop dog. She's very good at watching for coyotes. We had a coyote come through the parking lot yesterday, and we've got a set of baby coons underneath the house over there, which is a bummer because I don't want to evict them because I can't walk yet. Well, what are we working on? Stop talking about the weather, start talking about classic cool British cars. This is a 1952 MG TD. It's been featured on my videos a couple times. This car and that car are open top British roadsters. And this one came in for service. Brakes aren't working great. All the brakes were redone last time and they look good. Let me turn this light off here because it's kind of flickery. There. Is that better? I think so. These are really antiquated drum brakes. There was some wetness coming out of this wheel. I thought it was the wheel cylinder. It's brand new. It must be the axle seal. I don't understand why it's getting wet down here, but there must be a leak on the axle seal. I guess that's where it's coming from. It's not getting on the shoes, thankfully. They're brand new, and it's not the wheel cylinder, but I don't know where or how it's leaking. Figure that out, but I'm pretty sure it's the axle oil seal. But while I got the drum off, and these do have what are called the big nut on the end of the drum, I forget what that's called, swedge type axle, I think is what it's called. Big center hub with splines. To adjust the shoes, you actually stick your screwdriver through a hole in the wheel and you rotate this little cam. I'm assuming righty tighty, lefty loosey, and you can adjust the shoes. So we're going to go do that on all the wheels. I've got all the hubcaps off, and you line up the wheel cylinder, line up the hole here in the rim with, let's see if I can find it. Oh, there's one adjuster there, and this has got two, I believe, because it's a front wheel. So we're going through the brakes and we're adjusting them up, and then we're going to do a little bleed on them, maybe a flush. Brakes are not working great. We've got a little bit of a leak here back underneath at our fuel pump. Right here, there's a drip, just ran down my finger. Gotta fix that. And the fuel filters that we put in, you can see there's quite a bit of rust in the bottom of the filter, so we gotta do that. The underside of this car is in remarkably good condition, except that we have broken an exhaust hanger. That's got to be a rattly little thing. Just ripped right through this thing. This peg ripped right through there. So we're going to fix that. We're going to change the oil. We're going to grease the front suspension. We're going to get this car ready for summertime. Whoever restored this did a pretty good job. I'm just kidding. I put on all new Zerk fittings last time because they were clogged, trying to grease the trunnions, get this car back to life. There's also a grease fitting in the middle of the rack and pinion steering, and it just looks really good. The bumpers need to be polished. It's a pretty neat old car for the summertime, so we're gonna get her back into running, driving condition. We've got a few other adjustments to make, and we'll go through those as we work on the car. Okay, so I'm going to go through some technical stuff here on our MG TD service. It's a 1952. Oil goes in here. This is where the top of the valve cover is not a screw on top. It is just a press on lid with a chain, no less. The oil filter, maybe an add-on, I'm not sure, is a cartridge, and it's right here. It is fastened with a bolt on the end. The dipstick is overbuilt. It's really big. And this thing holds 5 or 6 quarts of oil, surprisingly. Put that back in there. It is generator, positive ground, huge belt, 12 volt, and you must grease the grease the water pump nipple to keep that going. It's looking pretty good in here. We're going to move on to the brakes. When you open the driver's door, there is a little footrest area. You need to remove that, and the brake master cylinder is under a plug that is under the heel stop or the heel guard, and I'm adding a little bit of brake fluid to the master cylinder. The master cylinder is right underneath the driver's footwell area. Let's see if I can get underneath there. You can see the master cylinder resides right there. So we've been around the car multiple times, got the brakes all adjusted. The rears have one adjuster and the fronts have two, because they have two wheel cylinders on each front wheel, blind hole, and the rear is blind hole as well. Not the greatest brakes in the world, but sufficient for the time. Also learned that this car does not have a fuel gauge, but we kept wondering why this red light kept coming on. And it does have a low fuel indicator. I did not know that. So that's pretty neat. We have a generator light, a low fuel light, amperage, oil pressure, and temperature. A cable mounted or cable actuated tachometer, and of course a cable driven speedometer too. Everything is very tight. Look at the space between the steering wheel, and I've got to fix the steering wheel, it's really wobbly, and the dash. I mean, we're talking 3 fingers. I can get 3 fingers in there. This is a very tight cabin. I mean, to get in this car, you have to put your butt in first, knock your knees on this a couple times. That'll really wake you up. And the seat is adjustable back here with a big wing nut, and also it's connected by a hinge and a slider here. The whole thing has to be moved together, and usually outside of the car. Quite interesting, quite tight, but super fun. This is a proper British motor car. So once we tighten up our brake fluid cap, which has a 24 millimeter socket, then you put the plug back in. Keeps water and moisture from getting down into the bottom of your floorboard, like so. And it's a tight fit. It's kind of gluey. And then you take your MG heel kick and you put that in there. Just like that. Now, I don't know if you guys can tell, but this is my hand. I'm touching both the clutch and the brake and the gas with my spread of my fingers. That's how tight that area is. No big booted American steel worker, iron worker is going to get in here. You got to have Italian racing driving shoes. Brake pedal feels nice and firm. That's good. Gas pedal is a roller. Clutch pedal is, well, it is what it is. Very tight. Very confined. Snug, as they say. Snug as a bug in a rug. Okay, so we're working through repairs here on our TD. This is our MG TD. Sometimes you just got to get creative. So I had a gas leak, kind of a bad one, right here at the fuel pump. This is an electric box pump. And I took out this fitting and I put in a new one with some sealer, double clamped it, and I think I finally got it to stop leaking, but that's been leaking for some time. New fuel filter, and then up front there, I made a new exhaust hanger. Let's see if I can zoom in on that. I reused the old one, which is basically a piece of tire, I think, or rubber. That one had broken, and I fixed that one. And I think I'm going to fix this one. It's starting to fray. It really needs to have its exhaust up tight and good. So I'm going to fix that up, and then let's move on to the steering wheel. Let me show you what's going on with that. Oh, it's a cool little car, but it just needs some work. So I think I showed you earlier, we have a really loose steering wheel. I've got the nut off, and there's 2 problems here. One is the steering wheel is not setting far enough on the shaft, and the problem is the key is too big. it won't allow the steering wheel to swedge on far enough. And then the bearing in the shaft here is out. So I jammed a couple of rubber O-rings down in there with a little lubrication, and that took all the play out, and I've spun the steering wheel around a million times to make sure those O-rings don't come out. I don't know how else to make a bushing for that, but a rubber O-ring worked perfectly. So we have no more play in the shaft. I think because the steering wheel is so close to this dash and it's so hard to get in and out of the car, people have been using this as leverage. So I'm going to get this steering wheel a little further in on the shaft with a new key that's not quite as big, and I think I can lock that down. It's kind of interesting. There's a boot. Oh, where'd that go? Here it is, right here. This is your steering wheel cover boot. That goes on your column. That's your column cover. Pretty neat. And this is our MG steering wheel center cap. It's not a horn, it's just a center cap. It has a long screw that goes in there. Anyhow, we're getting there. Slow but sure. All right, I modified the link pin or the Woodruff key, whatever you call that. We now have a nice solid steering wheel. Look at this. Feels normal, not flopping around. So we put an O-ring in the column, and we got the Woodruff key so the steering wheel swedges back on the column tighter, and it's really nice now. It feels much safer. Nothing like having the steering wheel fall off in your hands. Erode your sense of security. I wonder if that's supposed to be like that. That just ties on there, but that's supposed to get tucked in there somehow. Work on that. Okay, I had to move the MG outside because battery is low and don't want to stink up the shop. Added some coolant to our radiator here. We have changed the oil. We have fixed the steering wheel. It's time to see if it'll start. Drive around and check the brakes. This is a hard car to get me into. I have such long legs. Look at when I swing my legs up, my knees have to go in, and then I have to sit all the way on the passenger side to get my feet onto the driver's pedal box area. And the way you start this car is you turn the key on. You'll see the generator light comes on. Pull the choke. Make sure it's in neutral. You can hear the fuel pump pumping. Hit the start button. Fires right up. Push the choke in. Runs really nice. We've got a low gas light on. A little bit. Not sure why that's doing that. Could be because the battery is not charging. Let's see what's happening here. Okay, it is charging. Okay, I think we're going here. We'll have our lights on. I'm going to shut the hood. Well, maybe we need the choke a little bit. Yeah, too much. Want to die. Just let her warm up. There we go. Okay, now to get out of here. Same thing. That's tight. Runs like a little Swiss watch. We have 3 fuel filters on this car. An inline metal filter, the clear see-through filter, and then the filter backed by the tank. Only the one backed by the tank had rust in it. I don't see rust in that one. That's good. I'm going to replace that battery. I don't trust it. Has twin SUs. They're running good. They're running really good. Pink furs. Okay. Let's take it for a drive. Okay, so we're behind the wheel of our little MG. Let's see if I can... Oh, I guess that's how big those gauges are and how close I am to the dash. We have our horn. We've got our signals. Let's see. That would be right, and left. Get our shift pattern. I think we're ready to go. Let's give this thing a little rip around the block, shall we? Make sure the car's coming. It's got really good throttle response. Steering wheel feels so much better. See how the brakes work? Oh, they work. Shocks are terrible. This has the lever arm shocks. Oh, it doesn't have power steering. Excuse me. There we go. Oh, what a little sweetie. Second gear, very bouncy, needs shocks. Those lever arm shocks are quite expensive. Third gear, pulls away very nice. What a sweet little car. Whoa, they cut that tree down. Holy cow. Fixing that house up. Okay, let's see if I can do this turn again. First gear. It is so tight in here. I fit, but barely. Hopefully I can make it around here. Yes, good turning radius. Second gear. Runs really good. Honked at my junkyard friend. Third gear. Ah, what a nice little car. This thing rides sweet. Fourth gear. Just pulls. That's nice. Brakes are very manual. Require some effort, but that's... Oh, first gear is not synchronized. No power steering, of course. Oh, this thing runs great. I'm really happy. Second gear. What a lovely car. Okay, there's Stella the Super Dog waiting for us. She's not allowed to ride in this car. Okay. Pull up her handbrake. Let's let her idle there a little bit. And let's get out. Oh, it's hard to get out. I gotta pull my big old boots past the door frame. Wiggle out of this thing. Okay. That's a sweet little ride. I love this thing. What a great little car.